Hey everyone, it's Wendy here, and I wanted to come on today and really share with you why I became a certified high performance coach. So let me start by introducing myself and who I am. So who am I? I am a wife. I'm a mother of 3 grown children. I'm a sister and I'm a daughter. And that's really who I am. Now, I want to also tell you what I do. So in my corporate role, I am a senior manager of training. So I oversee building training programs for an audience of about 5,000 employees. In my personal life, I'm a certified high performance coach, and I started that career early in 2020. So enough about where I am now. I want to tell you a little bit about why I'm who I am now, or what I do now. So I grew up in a single family home. We grew up in low income housing, which for some, they might recognize it as subsidized housing. So those are typically for families who are of low income and they need some government support to live in a home. And that was because at that time, that's kind of what my mother could afford. So my mother worked in the government. She worked really long hours. Obviously, as a single parent, she had a lot of responsibilities at home as well. And I can say that a lot of that formed who I was and how I showed up early on in my career. So after I went to college, I started working in retail. I studied actually fashion merchandising, retail management. And it really formed where my passion was, which was always in fashion. And then I kind of started into sort of the management path in the retail company I was working for. I went into their management program, quickly excelled because I'm a super competitive person, but I was also willing to take some risks or like transfers in those days to sort of forward my career or excel my career at a faster rate. It paid off then. It was before I started my family, but it really sort of set the stage of the behavior that I would have for most of my early career and mid-career, where I would take those risks to drive my career forward. So I'm not proud of that, by the way, because many times I would put my career decisions ahead of the family, even after we had children. So I'm certainly not proud of it. I am very blessed to have a very forgiving family, a very supportive husband first and foremost, but our children have been very full of grace in accepting some of the things that they may have missed out on with me not being there in some of their events. Very blessed. Not everybody is that blessed. I don't take those gifts lightly, and I'm very lucky that it's kind of rolled out that way. So I am a very competitive person, but not a healthy competitive person. I'm not proud of the way that shows up sometimes, or showed up. It really doesn't show up that way anymore, and I'll explain why later. But I would sacrifice a lot of stuff to get ahead, but I also didn't find joy when other people succeeded, which is not a good quality. It's not a good characteristic. It really brings you a lot of anxiety. It brings a lot of, it really gets in the way of forming relationships with people and connecting with people. And I would say that was an area of my life that I really have always had to work on. So let's fast forward a little bit. So in 2002, I'm in my retail career, but I took a little bit of time off to kind of raise the kids while they were young. And then I decided to go back full in after seeking a bit of therapy because I needed some direction in my life. So I have no problems working with a therapist. In certain situations, you certainly need professionals. But I decided to go back into the corporate world. I wanted to go back full on. I kind of like laid that storyline out for my husband so he understood the type of hours that I wanted to commit. And I wanted to excel my career quite quickly. So 2002, that was my first district manager role. So a district manager, for those who don't know retail, they oversee a number of stores. The store managers report into them, and you lead and guide those people. So I started my career as a district manager in 2002, which seems like forever ago now, because like now when I say the number, it's 18 years ago, which is a long time. So from there, one of the things that happened because of that is I worked very long hours. I sacrificed time with my family because I wanted to make sure that I excelled in that position. And one of and that's just part of my DNA. So from there, I ended up in the company that I am in now. And an opportunity came up to do this corporate role where I'm the senior manager of training. And I thought, well, you know, part of my legacy as a district manager was I was always focused on developing my people, making sure they excelled in their roles. A lot of it was like, if I was going to brand myself as a DM, it was a training DM. And I wanted to make sure that I was seen as a great coach, a mentor, and a trainer. And I'm telling you that because it kind of makes sense of where I am today. So I go to the corporate position because I'm thinking, wow, if I can train like 10 to 15 people, why wouldn't I want to impact thousands of people in my corporate role? Now it's a little different because you don't see the fruits of your labor when you're dealing with larger training programs, but it was still something that I felt like I could add value. Now I get to the office. I come from a career in the field where I'm used to working independently. You're not in an office setting. I used to say growing up, like the one thing I loved about retail is it wasn't an office job. I wasn't sitting at a desk, so I was able to connect with people that way. And so I struggled when I went to the office. It's a very different environment. I had a very new role, so I went from a role that I excelled at, now recognize that I was in that role for almost 15 years, and I excelled at being a great district manager. So then I come to the corporate role, and now I'm in a position where I'm like, holy crap, I'm not that great at this role, and there's so many rules that I didn't understand that I was going to have to like sort of adopt and get good with. So it played a huge mental game on me. So I can tell you that I struggled. It changed the way I showed up at work. I was not very productive. I had this huge challenge with with negative self-talk every morning. And if this resonates with any of you, like, I'm cool with it. That's why I'm sharing this story. I mean, I gained weight. I was depressed. I wasn't like performing well at work, but the way I was showing up at home and with my friends back in Ontario, some of the interactions were very negative. Like, it was really impacting me very negatively. So now I've been in my role in the middle of 2016. So by the end of 2017, I'm saying to myself, Wendy, I don't know. Like, did you make the right decision? I felt stuck. I didn't know what to do next. So I took it upon myself to start reading some motivational books. And the first one I read, and I think it's because someone at the corporate office had recommended this, was a Brene Brown book. It was called Rising Strong. So I'm not an avid reader. I am now. I wasn't an avid reader then. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to read this because this is recommended by someone in HR. She's a woman, and it was like something that I thought could help me. One of the things I really took away from that book from Brene Brown was creating shitty first drafts in your head. So you create these stories in your head of how you're perceiving things, and then when you go into the situation, sometimes you can already go with your armor up into, like, I think she calls it the arena. So that was the beginning of me recognizing that I needed some help. I was struggling with creating these shitty first drafts in my head, having all this negative self-talk, and not presenting myself the way that I wanted to present myself, where I really felt like I was always a very positive person and very, very competent, and I just wasn't showing up that way. So again, I felt stuck and I didn't know what to do next. So from that book, I read a couple others. I read Simon Sinek and a couple other self-help books. And then I fell upon this book called Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. And I read through that book and really became a big fan of Rachel's, because she's a mother of 4 children. She's much younger than I am, but I could really connect with the stories of trying to build a business or a career and also being a mother. So from there, I started listening to her podcast. And through that podcast, she interviewed this other author, and his name was Brendon Burchard. So again, I'm not advertising any of these authors or these books, guys. I just want to tell you my story and really what got me to my point in my life now. So after listening to her interview with Brendon Burchard, he was promoting his High Performance Habits book. So I thought, well, I had already started on this kind of like habit journey with Rachel and her husband, David Hollis, at that time. And it was called the last 90 days. And it's something that you do in the last 90 days of the year. You adopt 5 habit principles. One is drinking more water. The other is giving up something like that's not healthy that you eat. The other is having showing gratitude, journaling, and moving every day for 30 minutes. Oh, and getting up 30 minutes. Sorry, the journaling and gratitude is one thing. And then the other was getting up 30 minutes earlier so that you could get those habits going first thing in the morning. And I was seeing some really good results from that, but I wasn't consistent. So when I heard this interview on her podcast and they were talking about high performance habits, the word habits really like stuck in my head. I thought, okay, this sounds like my next book. I'm going to read this book. I got to tell you, I really connected with that book. It's because like it's science-based and there's really good processes that really stick. So I was seeing some really good progress, guys. But again, some days were good, some days were bad, and I wasn't really feeling like I was accelerating the way that I was hoping to accelerate. So I started working with a personal coach through another company that Brendon has. And so she was a certified high performance coach. Her name was Amanda. And she helped me through a 12-week program really get my shit together. I guess, I'm sorry, I don't usually swear on these, but that's what happened. And helped me get unstuck. So I had more clarity. I was better at influence. I was showing up with more joy. I was like enjoying going to work. And people were like, people could see the difference of how I was showing up at work. I was being recognized for my efforts at work. And those were just like benefits of going through this coaching program with Amanda. So through this process with Amanda, I did get more coaching, but I decided that my real purpose is to pay it forward and to serve others as well. So I decided to become a certified high performance coach too. So I mentioned earlier, the legacy and my brand as a district manager was always to help people get to the next level, mentor them, help them do better in their jobs and find joy in their careers as well. So it just made sense to me that why wouldn't I want to take those skills and my passion for helping people and pay that forward? So this is why I became a certified high performance coach, because I know what it's like, guys, to be stuck and maybe want a career change or maybe want something more in your life. And I can tell you that the foundation of all of my success has come from clarity and finding joy. And from there, everything else has built up. So if you've ever been stuck, or if you've ever thought you want to do something else, or if you've ever thought that you need a partner to help you kind of get past that log jam in your life, then I would love to be able to help you, and we should connect, because it is a passion. And I don't know if you can tell, how passionate I am about this, but if I could pay it forward and give somebody else the joy and the fullness of life that I've experienced, then I'm just serving others the way that I hope to serve others. So I'm going to wrap it up. I don't like to go too long on these videos. So again, let's connect if this is something that you feel could help you, and if my story makes sense. If you've been there, if you've been where I've been and you need a little bit of help, let's get together, okay? All right, so as always, I want to remind you, inspire others, connect with those who matter most, and cultivate creativity in everything that you do.